Crossfire Legion, a new classic RTS game with StarCrafty Command & Conquer-y vibes. It's just released in early access, and yes, this is a sponsored video, so thanks to Prime Matter for the sponsorship. It helps me keep me doing what I'm doing. Rest assured though, I wouldn't bring you this game in this video if I didn't think it was worth a look. As these kind of higher end classic RTS games are few and far between these days, it's nice when a good one comes along. So we're going to play a bit of the Payload Mode. I'll talk you through what the game has to offer. There's a link in the description if you wish to check this out at any point. So let's crack on. I'm playing a 3v3 here. I've got one of each ally. There's 3 factions in the game, so we got one of each on this team and then one of each as the enemy team as well over this side of the map. And this is just against bots, but of course you can play against other players as well. But as you can see here, I've got a base, I've got some workers, I'm gathering materials, pretty much standard RTS stuff, right? Oh, a little row going on over here between some AI. Our boy's lost. Run away, little fella. We'll try and save him if we can. I've got a few boys. But overall, as I say, nothing terribly groundbreakingly new about the experience. Pretty much classic RTS base building and unit producing, but it is done very well. It's simple, it's intuitive, and allows you to focus on managing your units and their abilities. However, one nice innovation they've made is with the ability to choose your units before you come into a mission. So much like in our beloved Total War, before you go into a battle, you choose your units, right? Well, you can do the same thing with this game. Rather than just picking a faction and then you get all of the units that that faction has, you pick and choose the certain ones you want. So if there's a unit that doesn't really fit your playstyle, you can swap it out for a different one that does, and you can build the army to your liking. Now, to this game mode Payload, we have to wait for these little bombs to fall down and then go and shoot them out of their casing so that we can free them and take them to a certain point on the map. The first one to do this 3 times wins, basically. So, as I say, this is a 3v3, so it's only 2 teams ultimately, and we've got to fight over this. If we shoot it out, there's still potential that the enemy could take it off us, so you're competing all of the time. So for a couple of my starting units, normally on this faction, you have like a close-range melee guy, but I've swapped him out for a unit called the Minotaur, which is a ranged unit, giving me some ranged options for infantry and air. I've also got these big boys called the Ogres, which seem, honestly, damn right overpowered right now because they just destroy all infantry, as we'll likely see. Little row going on over here. That's both sides of the Global Risk faction, actually. My boy's coming. There you go. We got some reinforcements coming from both of our allies. They're going to help us, hopefully, take this bomb and get it moving towards the enemy objective. But at any point, the enemy may appear out of the shadows, like so, as I say it, and come and attack us. Luckily, it's only a small force. Our allies are going to go and deal with them. We'll help out a little bit and get back to this bomb. And I can finally show you what the bomb will look like when we get it moving. And like I say, you can play this with other players. 1v1, 2v2, 3v3. You can see my ally. I love the way they hold their gun one-handed. That's like the kind of rebel faction. They're the more kind of guerrilla tactics, stealth, and sneakiness faction. But here we go. We finally got the bomb out of its casing. We whacked it in a truck, and now we're getting it moving. It does move incredibly slow, though, so we've obviously got to protect it all the way over to where it's going. You can see at the top there's a little bar that shows us how far we are from our objective, number 1. Bunch of enemies coming over. This is the same faction as me. You can see they've got all those lightsaber melee boys, and they can rush in like so. They've dived into the crowd, but there's too many of us. They've got some other boys. There's the Global Risk faction. The kind of standard, almost Imperial Guardsman type faction for all the Warhammer boys. But you can see they made an attempt to come after the objective. They actually just have to destroy it. Now that we've claimed it, it's ours. They can't take it off us or anything. They just have to destroy it. So even if we are stood around it protecting it, they still could potentially destroy it. But obviously, they preferably just kill us off and take it that way. We're moving it along now. We're about halfway. Another attempt by them to try and take it off us. My ogres blow a lot of them up, but we do have some support from our allies here. Bringing up a little healing drone that I have, a little vehicle that can heal my boys. Very useful in this kind of situation. So this is, as I say, the Payload mode. There is just kind of a normal versus mode, though, where you just try to destroy each other. I think they're planning to add a whole bunch of different game modes, so there's going to be different things to play rather than just the standard kind of RTS game mode of build bases and take each other out as quick as possible. There is a co-op mode as well versus AI, which you can do in these kind of game modes, but it's more built for a specific kind of co-op. And there is as well a story-driven campaign, so if you're into that kind of thing, they've got you covered there. Or if you don't like playing against other people, you can just play against the bots like I am here. We're nearly there though. We've nearly got the payload to its destination. We're just holding off another little onslaught of the enemies. My co-op AI buddies actually working pretty well here. Sometimes they can kind of abandon you, and I would be left trying to defend myself against all this stuff that's coming. You see the enemies all coming in together, trying to work together. But I think we've just got the bigger forces holding them off. We are able to attack their base a little bit from here as well. One of their bases anyway. and the payload is about to arrive, and we will get our first bomb down. As you can see at the top, we have to get 3 bombs each. This is going to be our first one. They've only got a little bit of damage on it, but our work is pretty much done here. We can now fall back, heal up our boys, regroup, get some new units, and then wait for the next bomb to arrive. Payload deployed. So we're in our little chill out phase now, just rebuilding and waiting for the next bomb to arrive. Another cool thing with this game is that there is going to be mod support, so community content can be made for both single player and multiplayer, and that of course always opens an interesting door to see what people can do with this, because I'm sure there's a lot of fun that can be had with different mods, and there's always room for DLC with this kind of game as well. You can add in new factions, new maps, but that might be a while off, as we are of course in early access. They are putting a fair bit of focus on multiplayer though, as there is a leaderboard and you can spectate and watch matches as well. And like I say, I believe they're planning to make a whole bunch of different multiplayer modes to help the game stand out a little more and to give some fresh experiences in the RTS genre. And one mode I would really like to see for a game like this... Oh, my ally is being attacked here. Let's just go and help them out. They might be trying to push our bases instead. So as you can see, it doesn't have to be a chill, quiet time. You can push the enemy if you want to. The danger here, though, is that you're going to lose all of your units before the next bomb arrives, and then when it does arrive, you won't have any units left to go and attempt to take it. So it's a bit risky, and it looks like the enemy is falling back now. They've mostly lost this engagement, may have done a little bit of damage, but probably not a worthwhile skirmish. But as I was saying, I'd like to see a co-op mode, where 2 players could control one faction. So you could have one player that can only manage the economy, do the buildings, do the workers, and then the other player only manages the units. So you kind of split the responsibilities over one faction, but it's a nice co-op mode, and one person just doesn't touch units at all, and one person doesn't touch the economy and unit building at all, and you work together that way. That would be a fun thing. It was in Spellforce, you had that kind of mode. I really liked the idea, but haven't really seen it too much, and it would be a fun co-op mode to play with a buddy, I would think anyway. Like I say, I'd like to try it out. I believe the developers are working quite closely with the community to help build the game through early access and make it into something that people really want. Anyway, the second bomb is about to arrive, and I am ready to receive it. No enemies in sight at the moment. I think they're having a clash with one of my allies. We should be good to try and take this second bomb, though. Gonna scout ahead here with my aerial units, which is quite important in this game. For that reason, but also because of how line of sight works. There are certain raised up areas of the map which, if you're the one with that high ground, you can see down onto the enemies, but they can't see up at you unless they have an aerial unit with line of sight. Or if they have somebody else up on that same level as well, then they can see you. But yeah, it can make for some really strategic, advantageous positions, especially before anyone's made aerial vehicles. The enemy coming at me now, though. We're getting our second objective, our second bomb on the way. We're getting support from our allies, but so are they, it seems. Some of those ninja boys, or vampires as they're called, the ones with the lightsabers coming in. Oh, that is pretty... Oh, that fire at will, circle of death you see raining down a bombardment there. That's a commander ability, so when you build your army as such, you choose a commander, and they come with a certain couple of abilities. That's one of the ones for the enemy, which can do a hell of a lot of damage if you stay stood in that circle. We got mostly out, but our ally took a pretty big hammering from it, so we've not got a lot left, but we've scared off the enemy at least, and we should get our second bomb here. Payload deployed. There we go. Nice. 2 down, 1 to go. Well, I've been having a nice chill out phase, but my allies, not so much. They're up pushing on the enemy. I've been recouping, recovering. My allies are just getting stuck into the enemy, having a big old row. But the next bomb shouldn't be too far away, so they better look lively. And it just seems that they are looking dead. They are getting fire at will, acid rained. My ally has been pretty beaten up, but here we go. The last bomb has arrived. We shall get moving. I might be able to do this one by myself. We shall see. Move on down here. Hopefully take it before the enemy gathers up their forces. If anything, they may have worn down the enemy forces, even if losing most of their own. We do have some stuff, though, coming over. A few vehicles to help us out. Going to take this nice and quick. And this last point usually is pretty close. The first bomb is always the furthest one away. And then this one is usually pretty close. It's got to go to point number 2, which is pretty close. You can see it on the minimap if you squint hard enough. So we should be able to get the win here pretty comfortably. This has been a fairly comfortable game for my side. It doesn't always go this easily, believe me. I've definitely lost a few of these. But when you do finish a game, you will get a currency, and that currency can be spent on unlocking new units. Because when you start the game, you'll have all 3 factions, but they'll only have their basic default units. And if you want more, you'll have to unlock them with this currency, which you earn by simply playing the game. So there is a nice bit of progression involved as well to feel like you're kind of working towards something. It'll take a fair old while to unlock all of the units for all of the factions, I'm sure. because that's one of the really fun parts of this game, is building your army and coming up with different strategies and compositions that allow you to play in different ways, because you pretty much have anti-infantry, anti-vehicle, and anti-air, and you need all three of those in any army, but which type of unit plays which type of role is entirely up to you and how you build your army. So in terms of multiplayer, that can bring some unpredictability. If you can bring some cheeky game plans with different unexpected units and things like that, that's where you can really have some fun, much like in good old Total War. But it looks like the enemy is pushing on us now, trying to stop our last bomb, making their last attempt. I'm going to throw some radiation down on the floor. Does some damage to them over time. And if we were to lose this gunfight, they would be able to destroy the bomb, so then we wouldn't win, and we'd have to wait for another bomb to come and try and take that. So the game can last a fair old while, or it can be quite quick. If you get bored of waiting, you can just go after their armies and try and take out their bases instead. So if you are losing badly, like the AI is here, the enemy is here, you could just try and go after the enemy bases and just wipe them out that way, and kind of take a cheeky clutch win. That could be a pretty fun strategy in multiplayer, actually. If you have 3 people who all do that together and just rush the enemy when they're all going after the bomb, that could be pretty nasty. Anyway, this is Crossfire Legion. I hope you've enjoyed this. Do check out the link in the description if you wish to look at this game. It is out now. I have taken victory. You can take victory too. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the future.